Peace. Just a little brief rising message. Greetings to all. Let's give honor to Source, to the Creator, the Most High. Whatever your higher power is, let's give gratitude for where we are presently, and even what we're transitioning through right now. Breathe. So I always remind myself to breathe, because it could be different, but I'm grateful. Count your blessings. Count the things that you have, whether it's your health, and not just everything dealing with finances, but that could be someone's circumstances. Be grateful that you have shelter, food. Be grateful that you're able to be in a position where you can provide for yourself and your tribe. Be grateful. I want to jump right into this message as I proceed to do what I'm doing. I just want to start off by saying, my encouraging message for the day is, and when I say you, I'm also saying for myself, for those that aren't familiar, when I say you, Y-O-U, is mean your own universe. And you do deserve reciprocity, especially if you have what I may use the term like inner work or healing, or facing said generational curses or traumas in your lineage, or even choosing to get up to better yourself. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve relationships that are healthy, balanced, that reciprocate the same love that you are putting out. We live in a realm or a world where most are unaware or not unaware of universal law, which is what you put out, you get back. Some may call it the law of correspondence, or however you want to see it. But I'm a firm believer in core belief that what you put out and how you feel about yourself inwardly will reflect what you receive. And I'm not saying that's always the case, because a lot of things come to still remind us, again, to love ourselves. Now, speaking from my experience, I had to really get to a place within myself, not just as a man, not just as a father, not just as, the little boy in me once upon a time, when I was younger. That little boy never left me. That little boy and little girl never left you as well. And so what I'm getting at is that a lot of us experience childhoods where our innocence was preyed upon, or we had people around us who didn't really know their worth, or who told us that they loved us, but actuality, they did not love themselves. So it was basically it wasn't possible for them to really love us and embrace us and receive us, or even give us that reciprocity that we knew, as we now know at a later age, growing up, that we deserve better. Some of us did become aware, when we were teenagers, or and so forth. That was the most challenging thing, and still is, daily, to accept the fact of, for me and my circumstances, that I won't ever, accepting that I won't ever receive that fatherly love or father figure that, biologically helped create me, receive that love. It's not to say the person doesn't love me, but just receive those things I knew that was very vital in my childhood. And so that was a part of my development. And then even with my experience with, a mother, a lot of mother wounds, things that I'm now mending and healing and accepting, which again, it really helped me develop within myself, self-development and self-improvement, to become more self-aware of these relationships, and how it affected my partnerships, how it affected my businessship as well. All of these things, again, that are going to have a vital impact on our lives moving ahead. And one of the most important things, again, is me learning to become my own man, me standing in my own power, me speaking up and developing more of self-confidence, within myself, to go out into the world, to speak my own truth, and that's been a challenging experience, because, again, it's, as I've mentioned before, for a lot of us, it's very difficult to become something we never seen, and to be something that, and to also become something that we never had. So give yourself grace. That's also another message, encouraging message for you. Give yourself grace, and then giving yourself grace and having more self-compassion for things that you had no control over. Give yourself grace. And if you don't know the meaning of that, if you're younger or whatever, no matter whatever your age is, give yourself grace. We like to say that, oh, God gives us grace. Okay, we also have to give ourselves grace as well, because our relationship first with ourselves, because I'm a firm believer that the God or source is within, and that connection right there is what connects us to, these said prayers or meditation or things that we send out into, whether you want to call it the universe, to God, the creator. These are things, again, that eventually find their way back or return to us. So, again, going back to the aspect of, do you have a healthy relationship with yourself? I've been sitting here doing a lot of reflecting and revising, reviewing, ending things, a lot of things that, I had to realize, like, okay, do I have a healthy relationship with myself? Have I even been around people who had a healthy relationship with themselves? No. I got to be honest with myself. No. And with that, it's like, just certain things cannot be ignored no more. So, this is the process of rebuilding self-esteem, because I was around people who did not have confidence or, in said self, or even, anything around that they wanted to, create or manifest, whatever term you want to use, basically like going towards their destiny or purpose. That has been one of the most challenging things as I grow, is like I have to still remind myself, it don't matter, who's in my life, those of you that have partners or married or whatever it is, kids, you have to still rebuild, depending on your upbringing, that confidence in self. Doesn't matter your career or status, you still, there's still that little boy and little girl inside of you, or some may call it higher self, but that there's still that essence that's deep within yourself that is encourage you daily to do something that you love, balancing out, being there for yourself first and then others. Are you taking a moment to yourself to really show up for you? And how does that look? And I don't mean like, oh, I gotta do this just because someone says so. No, are you really doing it for you? We haven't had a society that really encourages us to really be there for ourselves. I've mentioned this, so many times. It's actually been the opposite of that in this world. It's always everybody else before ourselves. And this is the turning point. This is the tide is shifted right now. And so it's on you. And when it's on you, it can seem very selfish. I've noticed that as how dare you love yourself? How dare you be confident? How dare you speak up, in the face of adversity, or even trying to be confident and said, just try to be confident even in your walk upon, whether you want to call it healing journey, spiritual journey, or even your, developing your own belief system. And so that's one of the most challenging things, is that, again, I want to encourage people to remind yourself who the fuck you are. No one's going to be you better than you. And then for some of us, can you say you really been you if you have developed a belief system that really isn't yours? A core values. Look it up for some of you that are young, And so, again, going back to my first message is that you deserve healthy partnerships. That I had to really accept that this is who people are. We have a very difficult time as human beings to really, we like to give people so much of the benefit of the doubt, or give them so much of ourselves, to believing that, the falling in love with potential, or believing that they're going to change. I've seen it all before. I've been through it, to where, that's my mom, and she's my mom, so she can get away with everything. Or that's my dad, and he's done all this for me. But deep down in the core of who you are, when it comes to core values and your own belief system, these are self-destructive patterns. That mom and dad, what they've shown you is their belief systems. And then in that, once you start standing in your power, setting boundaries, healthy boundaries that they've never seen, how dare you? There's a lot of animosity. There could be jealousy. There could be envy. There could be a lot of things, again, that is really just the shadow aspect of people that really are, you're there to illuminate their deepest insecurities. You're there to mirror back the things that have been inherently passed through the lineage, that even they didn't realize that they carried. Even you didn't even realize that, you were, you developed these things in your childhood. And as you become more aware, I had to also become more aware and accept, what, I deserve better. I deserve to be treated much better. And that's what comes with core values of knowing your worth, your value. It's not in, my dad said I have to go be a lawyer, or I have to go be a doctor, or, we've been doing this for 40, 50 years in the family, and, I'm going to do this. And I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't. I'm saying a lot of people know to the depths that you came here to do something differently. You came to do something completely different. And with that, there comes with opposition. There comes with people not wanting to support your vision. Especially, if you want to do something that, yes, to them it may have an impact on which I've seen is that how people are so caught up in the image of, we got to protect the family image, and this is the family's legacy. But a lot of you, and then when you create a tribe, I like to use the term, once you create that, a lot of that now, the divine is looking at you and your unit, your tribe. That's the priority. The original Trinity, the mother, father, and child, or son or daughter. That's the original Trinity, in the sense of nothing comes above that. It was an elder, or I just use the term elder, but a special sister that expressed that to me. She said nothing comes above the Trinity. And what I held on to by that is, I had to realize, nothing comes above the fact of what I've created. And I think a lot of you need to be reminded of that. A lot of you that do have kids, or, I don't know all the circumstances of everything, but a lot of you that, again, are wanting to root yourself in a new legacy, in a new world that you're creating for yourself and your kids, that is going to call for another version of you that people have never seen. You can call it your villain era, where everybody was looking for you to be the hero. Everybody was looking for you to be the hero, the scapegoat. I like to use that as another term for it, the scapegoat. Everybody wanted to scapegoat through you because they knew you had a calling or a purpose upon your life. But they didn't realize, a lot of what they've been doing was burning themselves out. They've been burnt out. They've been doing the same thing for years. They've been emotionally drained, mentally, physically, spiritually, like burnt out, tired. And they're asking you to do the same thing. And here you are like, standing up for yourself and say, no thanks. And this is not for everybody, but you know who it's for. And this is why I say you deserve the reciprocity. There are others that are aligned with you, that are on your path, that will support you beyond it just being just through finances. There are people that have connected with themselves and went deeper within themselves to become more aware that, they are here to align with those who support them on a deeper level, a more genuine in soul level. Instead of trying to convince others and wear masks like their family been doing, to convince them like, oh, I have to do this because, and this is why so many people here or have learned that they haven't been doing what they love. And I see it all the time. I'm not saying don't make said sacrifices where when it comes to the bigger picture for whatever you're trying to do, because everyone's journey is different. Remember that everyone's journey and purpose is different here. That's what makes us all unique. But the oneness of it all is that we're all a part of something that is divinely orchestrated. My encouraging message is to remind you of you. This is a season now where a lot of us, I had to really get to myself and realize like I deserve reciprocity in ways where, and this is just with me on my journey, because I've just seen so much of my own internal growth. And I also seen like, certain seasons, I pay attention to the seasons. We're in autumn now. And this is where, it shifts to, a colder climate. And this is where you receive your harvest said, from things that you have been putting out, sown seeds for those that know about like the Farmer's Almanac. I mean, is it Almanac? Did I say that right? I might have jacked that word up, Farmer's Almanac. I feel like I know when I said it correct in my head. Almanac, whatever. But, this is where you receive your harvest and things balance out because, again, sowing seeds in a metaphysical sense or, is like also putting out things, that you've done in the previous, not just year, but seasons, but from years to come, because I always tell people you don't plant seeds and receive the harvest in the same season or receive the fruit in the same season. So I'm very much aware of even like, think about your patterns. Think about the patterns of people who've been doing the same thing. And again, they getting the same results, but here it is. They say, oh, insanity is, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Look at humanity. Look at people who have been doing the same thing. It's so robotic. And a lot of us, I told myself, I said, bro, I can, no offense against people who go work or do certain things. Certain things I've learned, it's like, bro, I cannot. Like, I have to expand because I just see myself much bigger, grander because of so much. Again, I've had to internalize and believe in myself when nobody else could. When you reach down deep down and realize like how deep the roots are, you are that seed that grows. And I realized like some of us that when we do relocate and move or wherever we're being called, that's just a divine reach. And imagine this hand, I'm gonna give you this analogy before I go. Imagine this hand just reaching down delicately to the roots. And those of you that, my plant babies or my earth signs and those who are my plant lovers, when you reaching down for that plant, you got to be very cautious and gentle when you're pulling that root out. Not like when we was kids, when we go pull up something and it snaps. No, you got to be very cautious. You got to be very delicate and aware what you're doing because that root is deeper. That wound, that root, that wound of that generation or that lineage is deeper than what's on the surface. I'm going somewhere with it now. Because that tree, See, everybody's been focused on the physical aspect of that tree or that plant. Like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful it is, and da-da-da-da-da. But you have noticed, the Most High has noticed that, you know what? You know, some of you, like, again, some of you plant mamas right now or fathers, you know, y'all got this plant. You know that plant needs to either be outside because it has outgrown its environment. Y'all ain't hearing me. It has outgrown the pot that it's in. It has outgrown the flower pot that you have put in, that you neglected. That flower is yourself that you've neglected for probably about a couple of months now. Probably about a year for some of you. And it's still growing now. You know, this for my house plant lovers. It's still growing. But there are certain incidents where that plant, I remember my grandmother, great-grandmother, my grandma still got these plants. Y'all know them plants, I ain't gonna say old, but them plants that grow up on the wall and they grow everywhere, they expand. I used to be so amazed at that. I'm like, how does that flower just find its own way? Ooh, I'm going somewhere with this. This is for a lot of y'all, man. The flower finds its way no matter what, no matter how difficult, no matter the angle of the door, the house, or where it's been positioned. My grandma used to put these flowers, I don't know what they call, but a lot of you probably will know. You know, a lot of sisters will know, like, yeah, I mean, my grandma had that same plant. It used to grow up, it looked like a vine, and it used to go around the window and all that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? See, but you knew grandma to water that thing. She watered that thing. She even sometimes took a little piece, then put it in another pot. See what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this: those that you know that you know the Most High vision is huge hand. Like this is how my imagination is. It's huge hand coming down, you know, and you're just this tree, and it's just like a plant. You know, they're both similar, but it's just one that you just, you know, you seeing the bigger. I'm giving you a bigger picture to it, and it has to dig down to the depths of the roots. And see, for me, I can tell this deeply because I used to do tree work back in the day. I used to see how, you know, they had to, if a tree was rotten, even though it, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. The tree was rotten. The tree used to look so big and everything, but they was like, you know, they could tell that either it was about to fall over or it needed to be removed. And even though the branches and the trees, you know, still showed a little greenery, inside it was rotten. And that what made it more dangerous because that tree could collapse, fall over, and damage the house. Did y'all hear where I'm going? I'm connecting this tree to your life. So that sometimes where some of us are rotten inside and we don't even know it. But some of us are also that plant that's inside of the home that we know we've outgrown our environment, which is that flower pot that you know this flower is so big. And guess what? And we'll sit there every day, keep looking at it, thinking like, nah, you know, I'm going to get to it. And again, some of us are like that tree in this environment where, again, we have to, the Most High has come down and will remove us to the depths of our roots to connect, like to really see how deep that pain, that wound or whatever it is goes, and literally grab it and pull us out and then place us somewhere else where we can expand more. And you know what's so challenging sometimes is that we're in a completely different environment where everything is unfamiliar. And then, you know, there's a culture shock. Our mindset changes. It's like we're forced, you know, not to say you have to force things, but we're forced to see things completely different. You know, the weather, the climate may change, the people, you know, how you approach situations, you know, things, how you feel. You know, that tree is going to experience something completely different. And then sometimes we question, like, if we can survive here. But we were already surviving. See, that plant in that home was already surviving because it could fall over. Then it could break one of its leaves or, you know, it can snap because it needs a bigger pot. It needs to be re-soiled or, you know, it needs new soil. You know, that's my plant mamas out there and fathers like, you know, that plant needs some more soil. It need to be taken care of. It need to be it need to be nourished and so forth. I'm gonna say malnourished, But again, the same thing with the tree. Sometimes we have to be uprooted and then be removed, rerouted, rerouted, revised, remember, just to put us somewhere else, to know that, okay, you were in survival mode here in this environment. I had to put you somewhere else so you can become aware, because you're much more bigger than this said place that you were before. And even though you may not see it now, you're surrounded by more trees. You're surrounded by, and you're more in a more harmonious place. You're surrounded by something bigger and greater now. Bigger than you, but at the same time, you still may not look like the other trees. You still may not speak or act or portray or so forth. But I removed you. The Most High said, I removed you. I uprooted you and put you here, so that your roots, it's not to say, because notice, the roots go with you. Your lineage. Your roots go with you now. And when your roots go with you, that don't mean you forget about who you are. Your roots are there to remind you of the darkness, like, because the roots was in the depths of the dirt. Your roots were just to remind you of who you are. And then when I remove you and put you somewhere else, the Most High said, okay. But then I had to tell you, see, now I had to show you that, look, this is what was going on inside of you. See, those of you that don't know much about the rings of the tree, if you cut a tree open, I learned this from tree work. With tree work, you had a guy that had to climb the tree, cut off the branches, because it's not that easy. You just don't knock a tree over. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And he had to rope it. And then we had to sometime like drop the rope down, because it was a more of a tedious and dangerous job to go up there and do that, because, you know, those trees and those branches are much more heavier. They have water in them. And see, when a tree is dead, the water source is not getting the roots connected to the inside of the tree. The water is drying out. So something's not connecting there. You ain't hear me though. So with that, again, now, you know, this tree had to be removed. We get all the way down to the root, because, you know, it takes, you know, it's funny how you can uproot a tree, but then when you're chopping it or when you're doing tree work, people have to trim it from the top down, because you can't just trim it from the bottom, because that tree is much bigger than what it looks like. You know, just because we're looking from the outside. No, that tree is much bigger when it hits the ground. Those branches are much more heavier, and it can cause more damage when it falls on someone or people. So the guy has to go up there and climb and cut it specifically, you know, very skilled. And his life is at danger, because those branches, when he cut them, sometimes they can swing, and it can literally cause damage or hemorrhaging to the brain, because that's how heavy the branches are. And you don't know how big they are until they drop, and you can hear it like a thud, because it's literally what they call like dead weight. And you got to pick this up, put it on the truck, or put it in the tree trimmer. And, you know, and then guess what the most heaviest part of it is? The roots. When you get all the way down to where you see the rings of the tree, and that's how old a tree is, or, you know, you see the rings of it, those that you didn't know. And then again, the roots, the heaviest part is the bottom part when they don't trim all of the tree off, because this is where a lot of the water that comes up from the root is there. And so that part is the most, like, it carries the most weight. And I didn't know this until like we were cutting it, picking it up. And so again, going back to this whole analogy where some of you have to be removed. Some of you have to be uprooted. Some of you even have to be cut. Like the Most High, you know, there's trees that, if you notice, that have to be cut, certain branches, you can look at it as people. It's just an analogy. You can look at certain things that have to be removed for the betterment of your health. Certain things have to be removed for the betterment for you to thrive, not survive, but to thrive. Because we're removing and we're rebuking the survival mindset. We're thriving now. Certain trees or certain plants had to be removed or resoiled and so forth for them to thrive, for them to expand more. So I encourage you to know that your relationship with yourself is just as vital as anything else. Your relationship with the Creator, with Source that's within you. Make that a priority. And know that you are already thriving. You're thriving before you hear this message. You're expansive. You're beautiful. You're divine. You're loved. You are lovable. Take care of you for you. Peace and blessings. Shalom.